let's just jump right into it. Today, we're exploring an incredible explainer on Jordan Ellenberg's book, How Not to Be Wrong. Now, a lot of people see that title and immediately assume it's some dry academic math textbook. But honestly, it's not. Not even close. We're going to treat this material as what it truly is, a field guide for faulty confidence. Think of this as a forced inspection of your own internal instrument. Ellenberg's goal here is actually really simple but kind of confronting. He wants you to stop trusting the tired version of your own mind. This explainer is here to stop you from mistaking sheer mental strain for actual clear sight. So look at the immediate hidden cost we're dealing with here. The mistake you're making? It's already charging rent in your calendar. Seriously. That choice you're actively avoiding right now, it's not waiting politely on standby for you to be ready. Every single day you delay, you're literally paying for that delay with your daily attention. You probably call it being thorough, right? We all do. But the actual mechanism of your life, it just calls it drift. Let's just sit with this for a second. Think about a specific decision you keep circling right now. Like, really picture it in your head. Now ask yourself, would more effort actually fix it, or would it just deepen the groove? You know, your habit of overanalyzing isn't actually care. It's just over-effort inside an untested model. You're pressing harder when the stakes rise, which just gives a weak model more fuel. And that, right there, is exactly how effort becomes static. I know this next belief sounds incredibly clean and logical. You tell yourself, my thinking is fine. I'm just tired, I'm overloaded, and I'm just one clear push away from making the right choice. It has dignity, doesn't it? It respects your hard work, and it validates your pain. But look at where this actually leads. Let's let this belief walk to its logical collapse. If being tired is truly the cause of your indecision, then simply resting should clear the error. If just one push is missing, then the next hour of work should sharpen the answer. But let's be totally honest with ourselves here. The next hour of effort is likely only going to sharpen your fear. The dread doesn't leave, it just returns with cleaner formatting. And that brings us to a really serious trap, a dilemma between two rival kings. Option 1, you trust your gut, but risk patterned bias. Or option 2, you completely drown in data and end up missing the moment entirely. Both of these options just feel like losing. One makes you reckless and the other just makes you numb. But here's the realization. They are both symptoms of the exact same misunderstanding. You've elevated intuition and data into rival kings, but they aren't kings at all. They are witnesses, and mathematical thinking simply requires us to ask each witness much better questions. So the absolutely crucial point here is that we need to return to form, not mood and not charisma. Ellenberg's framework is brutal, but honestly, it's incredibly merciful to an exhausted mind. He shows us that math is really just common sense equipped with safeguards. It's literally designed to save your energy by stopping you from wrestling with shadows. When you form check your claim, you just ask a few key things. What is the shape of the claim? What would it predict next? What evidence would actually make it smaller? And what class of cases does it belong to? Listen, a bad line is still bad even when it's beautifully drawn. These questions act as a shield. They protect you from giving premium labor to bad certainty. Now, this brings us to a second highly addictive false belief. The idea that if I name enough risks, well then I'm thinking rigorously. What this does is turn your worry into a form of scholarship. The list of risks grows, the document gets dense, the meeting feels super serious, but the decision, it still doesn't move. Why? Because names are not weights. A massive list of fears is not the same thing as a calculated probability. An allowed, dramatic risk is definitely not an expected outcome. When we do this, certainty becomes a hiding place. It's just a costume for fear. Let's step back and look at the core anchor of all this. Imagine a novice looking through a telescope. They see a bright star and immediately trust the sight. But an experienced astronomer? They check the lens first. Your mind is not the sky. Your model is the lens. And a bent lens can make the sky look falsely persuasive, but it still makes the image completely false. We absolutely have to calibrate the instrument before we start reading the sky, because staring harder at a bent lens is never, ever going to improve the reading. So how do we fix that bent lens? We use a concept called regression to the mean. Basically, it's the world relaxing after extremes. Now, this isn't some curse, and it's definitely not cynicism. It's a vitally necessary calibration tool. Think about it. A seemingly great day might fall back to average, and a terrible week might eventually lift. A sudden spike might not be a cosmic sign, and a dip may not be a final verdict. Without this framing, you're at risk of building entire disciplines around pure noise, mistaking random spikes for actual destiny. Which naturally leads us right into the ultimate exhaustion trap. You feel like you only have two choices. Choose one, keep pushing on the wheel, becoming the reliable one who never ever rests. Or choose two, stop pushing entirely and feel completely irresponsible. Both of these just punish you. One steals your body and your energy, while the other attacks your conscience. But they actually both come from the exact same false frame. You've been treating your performance as your actual self, but performance is simply an output from a system. The self is not the system. You have to separate the two if you want any hope of escaping this trap. Enter our next powerfully clarifying tool, the base rate. This is essentially the world before your personal story even enters it. This concept is like a blade that cuts right through that performance spell. It tells you that yes, while your personal case is very real, it isn't sovereign. Your pain totally matters, but it doesn't somehow repeal fundamental probability. You have to ask yourself, what would you believe if this exact same story happened to someone else? You need to establish that base rate before your personal narrative warps the math. All right, so let's finally resolve that hidden cost we started with, that mistake charging rent in your calendar. It was never actually the decision itself. No, it was the belief that more strain would somehow purify the lens. But it couldn't. A bent lens makes every single hour incredibly expensive. You weren't weak, you weren't lacking intelligence. You were just being completely loyal to a bad instrument. And the thing about loyalty is that it feels virtuous, right up until it serves distortion. We've reached the final, uncompromising step. It's one clean, simple act of intellectual hygiene. Before you do anything else tomorrow, I want you to do exactly these 3 things. Number 1, write down the decision you are avoiding. Number 2, list the base rate. And number 3, cut one false precision claim. If you don't do this tomorrow, you have actively chosen to stay exactly where you are. It really is that straightforward. Are you going to keep staring through a warped lens, hoping the sky changes? Or are you finally ready to fix the instrument? Calibrate, then choose. Continue the internal transformation at upgowise.com.